Well, hello, EKN Nation. Welcome to a new edition of the EKN Debrief, episode number 149. It's Tuesday, May the 6th, 2025. David Cole back from his trek down to Mooresville, North Carolina for the 2025 United States Pro Kart Series Carolina Grand Prix. Lots to unpack with David. We'll get to that in a couple of seconds. Let's start out by introducing this weekend's presenting sponsor, AIM Sports. From its early days, AIM Sports has tailored its innovations to provide precise insights, allowing racers to fine-tune their strategies and push their limits. Fast forward to today, and they are excited to celebrate 30 years of Micron by introducing the latest evolution in karting data loggers, the Micron 6. Designed with cutting-edge features, it's perfect for karting enthusiasts looking to enhance their game on the track. Join the AIM Sports community today and equip yourself with the Micron 6 to take your karting experience to the next level. Visit aimsports.com to learn more. AIM Sports, 30 years of Micron. All right, DC, let's jump into it. You were down south in North Carolina throughout the weekend. We'll talk a lot about the weather you guys dealt with, but all told, again, another great weekend. Lots of money up for grabs, lots of money doled out at the USPKS Carolina Grand Prix. The event being run on May the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at Trackhouse Motorplex, as I said, down in Mooresville, North Carolina. Are you dried out yet?
Well, yeah, because Sunday the sun came through and warmed us up really well. Burnt my neck pretty good. So
wow, right.
Aside from the two rain showers we had come through, a little bit of thunder and lightning in the second one, but not long. So just a quick roll through. But other than that, it's just something about that facility just doesn't drain very well with the Carolina clay. So I'm dried out. I'm cleaned up, ready to go.
I want to say this. For those of you who are trackside, you realize that David had no EKN branding. I keep dropping the ball. I don't think we have ever had EKN branded rain gear. We have everything else. I don't think we've ever had our own EKN rain gear.
I will say the coat that USPKS has is pretty phenomenal.
I saw that.
I was out there in drenching rain and I did not get wet inside the coat.
Right.
So
we got to step that up. We're gonna look at that next week when I get home from Indianapolis. We're gonna get some rain stuff.
Plastic works too. I mean, Sean Beer helped us out in Sonoma
as well too. 100%. Well, listen. So David, round number 2 of a 4-round championship for this year's USPKS program. As we know, the USPKS, part of the stability we have in our sport right now, 13th season of the championship. We got a lot of great programs that have been around for a decade or more. One of them even closing them on 2 decades now. But David, give us kind of an overview on the weather. All told, I was watching from afar. I was down at Barber Motorsports Park for USF Juniors, and I was watching literally every time I kind of checked in, it seemed like it was every day was a bit different. You had rain coming through. Sunday was beautiful. Let's talk about the weather that you got while you were down there.
Yeah, Thursday and Friday were sunny and warm. There was a threat Thursday afternoon for rain, but that pushed away. Even Friday, there was a threat of rain, and that was south of us. Chris Knockman was at his shop south of where we were, and he said he was getting hammered with rain. And so luckily that went south of us and didn't hit us during qualifying on Friday. So that worked out well. So the first 2 days was dry, no issues whatsoever. But Saturday was a different story. Again, we got into the second round of heat races and rain came through, a good heavy amount of rain. And then it stopped, and then the track started to dry out. So we had a couple more dry sessions going into the third round of heat races. And then rain came again. Wow. They actually stopped action at the racetrack because we knew the cell was coming through. There was going to be some heavy wind. So they timed it up just right, not sending out a group, because as soon as they said, let's hold on, the rain came down. So everybody was able to get back and get under cover and stuff like that. But once that little cell with a little bit of power went through, it was wet the rest of the day there on Saturday. But it rained all night. There actually was a tornado warning Saturday night.
Wow.
I want to say that was around midnight, maybe, is what the phone said. I'm not sure. I was somewhere else, but it was. The rain. There was a lot of heavy rain Saturday. So you get into the racetrack on Sunday. Great clear skies, sunny, well, it wasn't quite warm quite yet in the morning. Something about North Carolina, it just doesn't warm up very fast in the morning. But yeah, the racetrack was still kind of damp, especially in the runoff areas where there was a lot of water still sitting. And so that was kind of the major problem we had on Sunday.
Let's talk numbers in our By the Numbers segment. Daytona kicking things off with 218 entries. Of course, USPKS has been over 200 entries for many years. 240 total, David, at Trackhouse. And we're only talking about 7 categories as well. A number of them, all but one class over 20. There was 5 of them that were over 30, 1 over 40, and 1 over 50. The smallest class, it was 17 for KA100 Masters. That's that's probably the biggest Masters group we've had on the year at 17, 13 at Daytona, 17 here. But again, David, you and I talked about it in the Outlap preview podcast. 66 drivers in the cadet category, 35 in micro, and 31 in mini. Those are great numbers.
Yeah, great numbers and improvement in both categories. We had improvement in all the categories except for KA Senior, which fell by 4. So it dropped under the 52 mark, went down to 48. And then KA 100 Senior or Junior was at the 51 mark. That was the highest of the event. And thankfully, with those numbers, they were going to start 50 in the main events. And so all drivers got to start in those 2 categories. So, but again, great, still sticking with the ABCD heat race format. So it makes the heat races a little bit safer. So you don't have those big, massive fields running 3 times all in one day.
Yeah, and I also love the fact when you're doing that kind of ABCD heat race action, you're always racing against somebody else, right? You have to play the game correctly. I like the added wrinkle of the fact that you're against different groups, different drivers. I think that's always kind of cool to see who gets a chance to race with each other.
Yeah, and sometimes with the weather, you get screwed by it too, because it was KA Senior that we saw the first heat race go out on the dry, and then the rain came, and so the second heat was in the wet. So that was a big part of the complaints for the KA Senior guys, is some of them, especially the B group, they were in both wet sessions on Saturday.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, listen, that's part of the game, right? You go back. I think about, nowadays we have that percentage rule where if you qualify and it rains in the next qualifying session, they change it if there's a different gap. You go back to the 1990s in CIK World Championships events when there was 120 drivers, 130 in Formula A. If it rained in the middle, you were screwed. Right? They didn't change things because it rained for your qualifying group, right? So that's
that's a different story now with today's karting, because as we saw at the FIA European Championships this weekend, they had 3 groups in, I believe, OK Junior, one of them in rain conditions, the other 2 not. So yeah, they adjust accordingly based on those results. So you get somebody who's very fast in the wet in that 3rd group gets to start in the top 10 in the heat races.
Exactly. Yeah. So where was it going? Oh, and I haven't scrolled all the way through, and I obviously wasn't following completely all weekend long. Did we, just because if it's there or not, were there any guys that rolled the dice like we saw at the challenge race with Lincoln High getting the win? Did anybody kind of roll the dice going dries or wets?
There wasn't a race where we had that type of scenario where it was going from, dry to wet or wet to dry type scenarios. Maybe in KA 100 or KA Masters in the what heat was that? Maybe the 3rd heat race or the 2nd heat. I can't remember which one, but there was clear cut conditions. It was either dry tires or wet tires. Yeah.
Answer to the question. Exactly. All right, folks, we're underway with episode 149 of the EKN Debrief. David's giving us the full race report from the USPKS Carolina Grand Prix that happened this past weekend down at Trackhouse Motorplex. When we get back after this first break in the action, we'll dive into the Paddock Pass, which will be presented by Sony Racing USA. Is IndyCar your dream? If it is, for 2024 and beyond, the path from karting to IndyCar has gotten even clearer. It's time to look into the new USF Juniors program and the Tatis JR23. As a first step of the USF Pro Championships presented by Continental Tires, the USF Junior Series will feature a 6-event, 13-race schedule to train racers for the move into the USF 2000 Championship presented by Continental Tires. 3 of the events in 2024 will run alongside IndyCar at Mid-Ohio, Road America, and Portland. The champion will win a scholarship worth over $250,000 and $63,000. And there's a total prize fund that will exceed $330,000. The series utilizes the state-of-the-art Tatis JR23 race car, which is a development version of the USF 22 used in USF 2000. It's the ideal entry point for career-minded karters moving into the car racing ladder. Safety is always front and center in the minds of the series promoters, and the new USF Juniors car also features the Halo, and races are supported by members of the AMR IndyCar safety team. If IndyCar is your goal, USF Juniors is the starting line. For more information, visit www.usfjuniors.com and follow USF Juniors on social media. History, success, family. Those are the three words that can describe Comet Kart Sales, one of the longest tenured karting businesses in the United States. The family-owned operation located just outside of Indianapolis has provided karts, parts, and services for thousands of racers in the near 6 decades of business. Their online store features everything you need, continually adding new parts to their product line. From full karting packages, new engines, spare or replacement parts, and safety gear, find it all at CometKartSales.com. Their Comet Racing Engine service has won multiple major events and championships over decades of karting and continues to offer the best trackside service in the industry, specializing in IAME X30, IAME Swift, and other 2-cycle power plants. Make sure to head to CometKartSales.com or call them at 317-462-3413 to be part of the Comet Kart Sales family today. Back at it, episode number 149 of the EKN Debrief. David Cole is giving us a full insight into this past weekend's USPKS Carolina Grand Prix, now into the Paddock Pass, which takes into account some of the stuff that happened off the racetrack to a certain extent. This Paddock Pass edition brought to you by Sodi Racing USA. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is Sodi Kart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to a new exclusive importer, a karting distribution led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodi Kart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about the Sodi Kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing Network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. All right, David, a lot of stuff happening, and some of the stuff that you've got, I think we knew going in, but then there was a bunch of information that happened, I think, when we were there and again towards the early part of the weekend. Let's get started with some of your notes from the Paddock Pass.
Yeah, the announcement between Daytona and Trackhouse was the X30 Pro cash purse that was going to be implemented for not only this weekend, but for the rest of the season, where they're going to give back 100% of the entry fee money collected towards the cash purse for the category. Wow. We got 27 drivers, so it was over $17,000 handed out, going back to the 6th place with the winner getting over $6,000. So that was kind of the talk. So we did see an increase in the X30 category, but is it the Trackhouse bump that we saw it? Where are we going to see those kind of numbers at Road America? I would assume we'll see very similar to that at Newcastle, being it the series finale, and Newcastle always drawing numbers. So, well, that's something we'll have to monitor as we get closer to Road America.
Love that. And again, as I saw, I said that before I was at Barber, but you could see there was a number of walk-ups, right? I think there was 20 entries, was it not, when we did the outlap?
Well, Norberg and Massimino were walk-ups.
They were walk-ups.
You had one from the UK come in, Gus Lawrence, another walk-up as well too. So, there were definitely walk-ups for the event. And that's the thing. I don't think their penalty for late entry is that significant. So I'm not sure if that's the reasoning why, or if it's just everybody's waiting to see.
All right, so very interested to hear about the video marshaling system. We've seen when SCUSA brought it in, when you first bring a system like that in, it's how do you utilize it? How do you optimize it? There's a lot of systems that need to get put into place when you have a video marshaling system. Give you some insight on how that worked out this weekend.
Yeah, it's basically just getting cameras up there and monitoring the racing action. Blake Hunt, race director, he put himself behind the video screen so he's able to monitor the race calls that are called into him, so he can take a look at them. Obviously, there's still calls on the racetrack, and he has the opportunity to double check them and see, what his viewpoint is from the camera side of things. It's a system that Josh Holtz of Holtz Driver Development actually put together with USPKS helping to fund this. So it's a big project that USPKS put together. Something I've obviously been working on over the last few weeks, possibly before Daytona. I'm not sure. Didn't really get a answer that from that, but it's just your standardized social, security cameras that are able to zoom in. They have 3 monitors overseeing all the different cameras and systems. They had a Trevor Blue help out a little bit as well from Kart Chaser on some of the networking as well, because that's a major part of it, is getting all those camera signals into the area where they're going to do the video marshaling from. So, a lot of hardware added, but overall, the rain weather maybe allowed for less calls being made. So that
maybe a little lucky there.
It's still something to kind of be monitoring, especially as we go to Road America, where there's a lot of corners at that racetrack.
Overall, David, do you think that the drivers and team owners were happy to see that addition to the program?
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't want to sound old school, but it's a pacifier. It's it's if your on-track staff are not 100%, batting average on making the calls, making the right calls, it's good to have. There were a couple calls on the video that were overturned because, a second look at it or an onboard video showed a little bit better angle. But, Blake Hunt did a great job, tried to get those calls made and done by the time all scales were completed so people could see the penalties right away.
Yep.
That's something that they do. I'm not a big fan of it, trying to get all the penalties done before scaling. Not a fan of that, but that's their system. That's the way they're doing things. Overall, you ask the kind of competitors and teams that it seemed to go over well. There was no, major, if you remember back when the first video marshaling system came to NOLA with Supercards USA, that was a bit chaotic. So, it took an hour to tear down, a little bit longer to put it back up. They realized they need some more cameras to put in different spots, and they're probably going to add some cameras and scales section as well too. And so they're definitely moving forward this, the video program.
Work in progress, right?
Just as everything is.
Yeah, exactly that. Obviously, when we do the paddock pass, a lot of the times you're looking at drivers moving to teams and sometimes drivers staying with teams. We'll start with Frankie Mossman. David, I was kind of surprised because, of course, I'm at the USF Pro Championships race, and I see an announcement that Frankie Mossman moving from Jay Howard Driver Development and USF Pro 2000, moving over to the VRD Racing team. And then I also see that he's still with Jay Howard Driver Development when he's karting on the weekend. So that was kind of interesting that he's still with JHDD on the Kart Republic for the karting program this past weekend.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to have more insight into that, but when I talked to Frankie, he said, yeah, it was a mutual agreement. Frankie wanted to move on and go with something different in the car world, but no hard feelings, and Jay's still welcoming him to the karting team as well. Yeah. So, Frankie said he's looking at trying to do some European racing at the end of the year in terms of car stuff. And try and continue to move up that motorsports ladder. So, the karting thing is kind of just a fun thing to do to keep busy, help out, under the karting team, with, they got Harley Keeble there as a driver coach and of course, Jonathan Kotick. So Frankie's a kind of on track coach where he understands what's going on the racetrack as well. So, that's part of it. So, maybe you'll learn more when you see him this weekend.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Obviously, Frankie, as we know, brings a lot to the table in terms of on the karting side as well. And he was really kind of a one-man team, one-car team for JHDD, for Jay Howard in the USF Pro program. They had Tanner DeFavis run a couple of races, but at NOLA, Frankie was by himself. And obviously, hey, you know what? That wouldn't surprise me if he said, listen, I want a top-level teammate, a guy that can, push me. And, of course, Max Taylor running for VRD. So with Taylor and again, another former karter that we've seen do well so many years in karting, and now, of course, a strong top 10 finish in Indy next this past weekend as well. So, yeah, I think it'll be a good pairing with Mossman and Taylor at VRD. But, again, we'll see what Jay Howard does moving forward. Back to the karting side, David. Travis Pettit. That kind of caught me off guard a little bit as he moves over to Speed Concepts Racing.
Yeah, silly season 2025 continues, never ends, except for the opening weekend when we talk about the transition from 2024 to 2025. Speed Concepts Racing made him an offer that they couldn't refuse, so he actually did both junior categories this weekend, as he typically does. I think, however, this was his first weekend in X30 at USPKS, so didn't do double duty at Daytona. So he moves away from the TB kart. You mentioned being on an island. They kind of felt like that. Ty Fisher's moved on to the senior ranks and also car racing as well, who did very well in Barber from what I saw.
He's the point leader right now in USF Juniors.
They kind of fell down an island by themselves. So they thought this move over there would help them out. Teammates now with Ashton Woon, and obviously the other drivers under the Speed Concepts Racing tent, and a lot of knowledge there with the Speed family and those working under the tent. So did very well in his debut, again making the transition from TB kart to OTK and the CS 55 kart.
Yeah, interesting stuff for Travis Pettit. We'll be watching how that plays out throughout the remainder of the 2025 season. All right, back to another break. And when we get back after this one, time to dive into the race report presented by DID Chain, X30 Pro, and KA100 Senior in the next segment. In karting, it's important to be supported by the right people. With over 40 years of experience in the sport, Trinity Karting Group has everything you need to make your program successful. We do it all, and we do it right. We offer trackside support and arrive and drive programs at many of karting's biggest East Coast events, full product sales and service, and professional coaching from our experienced staff. Trinity Karting Group is a full-service operation based at the Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati, which gives us access to our custom-designed driver training facility. This allows us to offer one-on-one coaching to take you to the next level. From arrive and drive and coaching programs to the parts you need, let Trinity Karting Group provide you with customer service and a racing experience second to none. Trinity Karting Group is an official Kart Republic race team, providing full trackside support at all the major USA karting events, including the SCUSA Pro Tour, United States Pro Kart Series, the SCUSA Super Nationals, and other events throughout the season. TKG has Kart Republic, IAME, MG Novinco tires, and more products in stock for those in Ohio and the Midwest region. Trinity Karting Group has a long history in the sport, a winning pedigree, and we're dedicated to driver development. We take pride in our professional approach and our positive attitude. Let us build a custom race program for you. Give us a call at 513-421-4463 or check us out online at trinitykartinggroup.com. Made in the USA. It's not just a statement, it's the mission at Factory Karts of America. Led by 5-time Super National champion Billy Musgrave, Factory Karts manufactures their frames completely in-house at the Phoenix, Arizona facility. Built and designed from the ground up specifically for the American karting market, Factory Karts brings new innovations and solutions that are long overdue. Factory Karts bring together the highest quality materials to produce high-performance, long-lasting karts that have been designed and perfected from years of development. No other karting manufacturer stands behind its product as Factory Karts does, providing a 2-year warranty on all their frames. Join the Factory Karts official race team this season, hitting the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour and Pro Kart Challenge, along with the new Southwest Super Series program. Full trackside support for Factory Kart competitors is available, along with arrive and drive programs and tent space housed under our new race team hauler that debuted at Super Nationals 27. Remember when American Made meant more innovative, original, stronger, faster, and just plain better? Well, American Made is back. Contact Factory Karts today to join the American Made movement. Learn more by visiting factorykarts.com or email info@factorykarts.com. All right, let's dive back at it here, folks. This is the EKN Debrief, episode number 149. David Cole giving us a full report from Trackhouse Motorplex and the Carolina Grand Prix, the second event for this year's US PKS program. Diving in now to the race report presented by DID Chain. Since 1933, DID has been designing and manufacturing high-quality chains that are chosen and utilized by the world's best power sports athletes, and it is the winningest chain brand in the industry. From the hairpin turns of MotoGP to your local circle track and everywhere in between, DID has a chain offering for all levels of power sports that are designed to outlast and outperform the competition. With over 90 years of experience, stay driven with DID. All right, David, let's jump into X30 Pro. As always, I will give you the headline. You can fill in the blanks behind that. X30 Pro, presented by the Rawls Performance Group. Here's the headline. Norberg bags $6,800 with victory.
As we talked about, there were some walk-ups on the for the X30 Pro category, one of them being the British driver Gus Lawrence coming over to race for the first time in the United States and joined the Rawls Performance Group team and came away with fast lap in qualifying for his first time ever at the Trackhouse Motorplex, a 46.822. So did very well in the qualifying session. I talked to him after that, and he wasn't quite confident going into the racing because he knew it'd be a little bit different than what he's used to the IME program, obviously in the UK, but the tires somewhat similar, but the racetrack definitely not. And Norberger was able to take advantage, taking the opening heat race win, and then the second heat race was on dry tires, despite the rain we did have prior to it, with Norberg coming away with the win on a little bit of a tricky course with it going from wet to dry just before they did hit the racetrack. Lawrence did finish second to Norberg in both of those, but when it was the wet weather, the British driver came away with the victory over Norberg as they basically kind of ran away with it. Nobody really pressuring one another, with Massimino finishing third, just like he did in the second heat. So he actually got spun around in the opening heat race. Otherwise, Massimino was up front all weekend long, but contact with Dalton Haynes at the start of the opening heat race kind of dropped him back. So he actually started outside the top five, as it was Norberg, Lawrence, Garrison, Jones, and Dalton Haynes starting on the top five. And then in the main event, on the pole position with Norberg, it's very tough to get by him, and nobody was able to. Garrison kind of pressured him a little bit in the early couple of laps, but Lawrence was able to get by. Jones got by. Eventually, Paulie Massimino, who started seventh, got by and put himself into fourth. And Garrison actually continued to fall back until him and Enzo Vidmontien made contact in turn four, essentially taking both of those drivers out of the race. But other than that, there was no major action. Massimino did get up into, Jones got up into the second spot, getting around Lawrence. Tried a last lap move. Norberg went on the defensive, and Jones just kind of timed it just not correctly. Avoided to make contact with Norberg, so it slowed his pace in that hairpin, that tight turn 8 hairpin. So essentially that ruined his momentum and chances of stealing the top spot, as Norberg went on to cross the line first for his second victory in a row.
Yeah, David, big weekend, obviously, for RPG, going 1, 2, 3, and $6,800. Let's just throw that out there. Make sure we kind of lean into that a little bit, because USPKS, of course, as you said, putting all the entries in, 100% payback. That's a big payday. $6,800 for Ryan Norberg, not bad. Sock that away for the kid, right?
Well, I was gonna say you could buy a lot of diapers with that.
I was gonna say you could buy a kid cart with that.
I think you got some time to save up.
He does have a little time. Yeah, maybe
diapers are a little more expensive with probably all the tariffs and everything.
That's tariff diapers, David. Where do you get your diapers from, China?
Who knows where they come from? I don't know.
Well, I definitely don't know.
I haven't had to buy any in years, so thank God for that.
That's true enough. The next diapers you're gonna have to buy is your wife buying them for you, anyways. So
wow, ouch.
Let's go to KA 100 Senior, presented by Brandon Jarsacrack Racing. Here's the headline: Massimino wins second straight at Trackhouse.
Oh, I'm still trying to recover from that. That was a low blow.
I don't know about that. Yeah, you've got at least 10, 15 years before you're in diapers. You're all right.
I was going to say, you're older than I am.
I'm
When
closer
are
than
getting
you
them?
are.
All right, there we go. Thank you. I feel better now. Yeah, just a quick wrap up. So yeah, it was Jones second, Lawrence third, Massimino fourth, Dalton Haynes on a Sodi Kart in the top five, and Frankie Mossman finishing sixth, made the move on Caden McQueen to grab the last money spot, sixth place on the final lap.
That wasn't in your notes, David. I didn't.
It was not in my notes, but we didn't wrap up the top five. I was waiting for you to do that.
Well, you kind of did it already. You didn't do Haynes.
I didn't do Haynes.
All
So
right. Dive into KA 100. Here's the headline: Massimino wins second straight at Trackhouse.
He does do that. You going into the weekend, you figured a local driver was going to be fast, and one of them, Caleb Gaffera, was quickest in qualifying at 49.541 for the new Holtz driver development pilot, kind of helping with that team and during driver coaching while racing at the same time. So a good little combination, and driver you'll see this weekend in Indy as well at the USF 2000 program. Heat racing, again, we talked about the weather. Second round of heat races, the first one was dry, second one was wet. So a little bit of a crazy scenario for this group with 48 drivers doing the ABCD format. But in total, for all six races, we saw all six different winners. So we had Jared Clark coming off the Stars Championship Series win. He took the opening heat race win. Connor Ferris won the other opening heat race. The second round of heats were dominated by Brandon Lemke in the dry and then Blake Nash in the wet. Third round of heat races, it was Pauly Massimino in the dry and then James Overbeck dominating the wet weather to wrap up the heat races.
Six different winners. Wow.
Six different winners, exactly. So
wow.
Keep that in mind for later. We'll talk about that.
All right.
In another category. So it ended up being Brandon Lemke on the pole position, coming away with a better points total over the 3 rounds of heat races, with Caleb Gaffera in second, James Overback third, Blake Nash fourth, Pauly Massimino fifth, and then Connor Ferris in the sixth position. So again, all 6 drivers, all winners, except Gaffera.
Except Gaffera.
Yeah. That's correct. Yeah, Clark had some issues in the wet weather. One race, his engine couldn't start. The other one, some other issues as well. So, so the main event was just after the KA Junior race was trying to get going. Unfortunately, their race brought out a red flag because somebody brought a lot of moisture and mud on the racetrack, sending nearly half the field off into the barriers in turn 7. A scary situation, something we've seen before. Anytime that part of the racetrack gets wet, it's an ice skate. Yeah. It's an ice skating rink, and we saw a lot of drivers slide off into the wall there. So they brought out the red flag. They moved their race to the end of the day. They put KA Senior out on the racetrack, but what they did was add a bunch of barriers on the exit of turn 6 to avoid drivers going off and bringing mud and water back on the racetrack. As you would imagine, Rob, everybody was going ballistic. How can you do this? How can you do this? How many people hit that wall?
I don't know. How many?
0. It's people, you got to know your limits, correct? Yeah, we always talk about it. Even you look at the last turn at Trackhouse. What did they have at in the last corner?
Yeah, exactly. That was a wall on the outside.
A Tech Pro barrier on the outside there to keep everybody in the racetrack. So again, you just got to know not to hit it. I think the only category we saw somebody really hit it was KA Junior at the end of the day. But again, so there's a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? A little chaos there before the start of the main event, but it was overall went well. Yeah. It was, let me see how many, there were 6 drivers there up at the front of the field. So all 6 drivers that I just talked about, kind of jostling for position. They were able to get away from the rest of the field. But the driver on the move was Pauly. Pauly came up from P5, kept picking drivers off one by one, got to the front. Overbeck got on his bumper and never left his wingman. They stayed kind of nose to tail the entire distance. Overbeck looked a couple times, but didn't want to force anything. They were pretty even across the board, and Massimino was able to hold him off on the last lap, and a second straight victory at Trackhouse.
You can be my wingman anytime.
There you go.
Nash coming home. No, Overbeck was Massimino and Overbeck. Caleb Gaffera coming home in third spot. Brandon Lemke in fourth, and Connor Ferris fifth. David, any kind of battling further back to get those final positions in the top five?
No, Gaffera had that spot, just wasn't able. He didn't really have any help from Lemke to be able to close back up after all their shuffling that was going on. I thought Ferris, he looked really strong early on. I thought he was going to be able to go forward, but Massimino and Overbeck just were a little bit stronger.
So 2 wins in a row for Massimino, 2 wins in a row for Norberg as well. Big starts to the season.
No, Overbeck won in Daytona. So
that's right. That's right.
2 in a row for Brandon Jarzakrak Racing.
Yeah, that's true.
So they were both 1-2 because Massimino was second at Daytona. So they got a pretty good stranglehold on the championship. I believe Blake Nash would be right up there. Gaffera had a DNF, so that doesn't really help. Lemke was outside the top 5. Ferris, I think, might have been around the top 5 in Daytona. So, yeah.
Interesting stuff. All right, that's our first segment of the race report. When we get back, we'll go into X30 Junior. We'll also talk KA100 Junior time after this break. Check out any major national karting event, and what's the common thread? Speed Concepts Racing. Up front, in every class, every weekend. The Speed family has been at the forefront of American karting for over 25 years. And Speed Concepts Racing is the sole dedication of Father Mike Speed and his multi-time championship-winning son Alex Speed. This program is all about passion for the sport and a dedication to winning. They know how to get it done. If you're a senior driver ready to put yourself amongst the best in the country, Speed Concepts Racing is the program for you. We can win the big races. You just need to be in the seat. The Speeds program has delivered time over time in the junior classes as well, helping to elevate a long list of young drivers from mid-pack to potential race winners. Speed Concepts Racing has the perfect equation of coaching, driver development, and technical knowledge to elevate your program. Arrive and drive opportunities are available for the remainder of the 2023 season, and we're locking in seats for 2024 as well. If you're ready to take your career to the next level, contact Speed Concepts Racing through email at speedconceptsracing@gmail.com. Parolin is among the winningest brands in the USA and around the world. The Parolin Le Mans full-size chassis for junior and senior classes and the Parolin Opportunity model for cadet divisions have earned success weekend after weekend at all the major championships and events in both the USA and throughout Europe. The Parolin chassis lineup also includes the Invader shifter, along with the Daytona 4-cycle chassis and the Delfino Kid Kart. Karters can head to the ParolinUSA.com website where the entire chassis line and parts are available to you, with shipping available all across North America. Parolin USA partners with several companies and race teams across the country to provide a strong dealer network to represent the brand locally and at the national level to support drivers throughout North America. Get on the chassis that's winning. Drive a Parolin. Back to the EKN Debrief and the race report for the USPKS Carolina Grand Prix. This race report brought to you by DID Chain. We'll dive into X30 Junior now, presented by Speed Concepts Racing. Here's the headline: Weiland emerges with career first victory.
Yeah, X30 Junior, big field this weekend, so it was great to see a lot of action going on all weekend long. It was hometown driver Lucas Palacio who calls Trackhouse home after racing most of 2025 in Europe, coming back to make his first start at USPKS in the category. It's fast time in qualifying with a 48.026, but unfortunately issues for him in the opening heat race as a loose axle forced him to pull off. It was sliding back and forth, not exactly the fastest way around the racetrack. Theo Salomeo, the Daytona double winner, was able to pick up that heat race win over Alexander Vanchev and John Antonino. while Vanchev was able to dominate both of the wet weather races in the final 2 heat races, earning those heat race wins and the pole position for the main event. Ashton Moon starting on the outside of the front row with Canadian Cole Medeiros in third, John Antonino fourth, and then Jose Alfin in the 5th position. The main event began with about 5 drivers kind of breaking away and then a second group behind them. But the racing up front was pretty heavy. This allowed the second group to join in. And among those in that second group was Max Weiland. He actually fell back to 14th at the start, but worked his way up into, I want to say, 8th, which was part of that second group. All the racing going on, lots of contact here and there between these drivers. It was not an easy, laid back type of race. There was a lot, not aggressive, but some contact. Guys were trying to be the leader, and that's essentially what how this race kind of unfolded. Weiland put himself into the lead just before the white flag, and then racing behind him for second essentially allowed him to go on cruise control for that final lap. And it was a very excitable victory for Max Weiland as he crossed the line, earning his first ever USPKS victory.
That's awesome. Ends up being 0.6 of a second, and shout out to Max Weiland for that win. Always great to get yourself forward and let the rest of the animals battle and fight each other behind you. David, looking at your notes here, there's still a lot to unpack because, there's a lot of drivers who finished in the top, let's say top 7, but a bunch of penalties change things up.
Yeah, we'll just say top 10.
Okay.
Yeah, Vanchev came across the line in second. It was Ashton Woon in third, but a penalty for contact dropped him down to the 6th position. Salomeo was 4th across the line, but he received a big penalty, 10 position for contact. I believe that was with Travis Pettit possibly. So they actually put him behind that driver. It might have been Tristan Murphy. Can't remember one or the other.
It actually finished in third.
Yeah, it was Tristan Murphy. My bad. Yeah, it was Tristan Murphy. So contact with him dropped him all the way back to 14th. So not a very good day for the championship leader going into the weekend. Yeah, that promoted Pettit up into the 3rd spot after he crossed the line in 5th. John Antonino was put up to 4th with Sarah Bradley in the 5th spot because Lucas Palacio finishing 6th. Had contact for a penalty, put him to 8th, and then Jose Alfin finishing 7th, got 2 rolled black flags, so that is a penalty, dropped him down to 9th.
It sounds like there was a little bit of action out there.
That's what I said. There was no Sunday drive in this category. There was a lot of everybody was trying to lead, I think, is essentially what it was.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted to work together. There were. I guess there really weren't teammates together because as you look at the top 5, those are all for different teams. Woon and Pettit were never really together, and they got split up a bunch anytime they were together. Salomeo all by himself, no teammate. Palacio, no teammate. Jose Alfin wasn't really quite up there. He was kind of trailing this whole group, but did make some bad choices and did get a penalty.
Yeah, and David, in the end, 5 different chassis in the top 5, right? Magic Kart, Cosmic, CS55, Kart Republic, and Sony Kart. So another little look at the fact, not a lot of teammates up there battling it out. Any other thoughts there, or do we move to KA100 Junior?
Move on.
All right, into KA100, presented by BBS Racing Engines. The headline is, Cristia celebrates return to karting with first USPKS victory.
Yeah, the largest category of the weekend, featured John Antonino setting fast time and qualifying a 49.716 in his first USPKS start of the season. And as we talked about in KA100 junior or senior, the junior category also had 6 different winners over the 6 heat races. And mind you, all of these, I believe, were in dry conditions because the rain or KA senior was after KA junior. So all the rain came for the senior drivers. We had Max Cristia, Alexander Vanchev winning in round 1, John Antonino and Max Weiland winning in round 2, Theo Salomeo, the Daytona winner, and Travis Pettit winning in round 3. So again, a lot of action. The ABCD format definitely works. It puts a lot of different drivers up towards the front and makes it very interesting when you come together for the main event, which was led to the green flag by John Antonino and Max Weiland on the outside of the front row, Salameo and Cristia in row 2, and then Alexander Vanchev and Ashton Woon in row 3. As we talked about, there was a red flag in the first attempt for the main event due to the water and mud getting thrown on the racetrack. It was after the opening heat, or opening lap. So they did do a complete restart after they had already completed one lap. But because of the chaos, the amount of damage, the track repair that needed to go on, they decided to do, overrule all rules. With the race director has the authority to do so. Yep. And just do a complete restart, allowing these guys to cool down, get their karts repaired as best as they can, and then race at the end of the day. So this was the last main event of the day, where we saw 4 drivers break away to make the lead pack. It was Antonino, Salameo, Max Weiland, and Max Christie. So 2 Maxes and 2 others. Eventually, Max Cristia lost the draft, so he was kind of trailing there in the 4th spot as the other 3 drivers were kind of making up who was going to be the leader coming to the white flag. It ended up being Salameo. He was leading on the white flag lap. Obviously, go to defensive mode, this and that. They come through to the last corner and left just enough room for Antonino to get to the inside. And then again, you get both drivers going for the same part of the real estate. Contact happens. They make heavy contact with the outside wall. This opens the door for Max Cristia, who in all this racing on that last lap was able to close up, slide under Max Weiland and those 2 drivers sliding into the wall, and was able to reach the checkered flag first to claim his first ever USPKS victory just 2 months after breaking his leg while skiing.
Yeah, 65 thousandths of a second at the line as he's able to get by Weiland, as you said. Golseth, Murphy, and Dupuis rounding out the top 5. Did Antonino and Salameo ever get rolling, or were they done in the wall on the outside of the final corner?
Yeah, they were deep in the wall, hitting the tire barrier as well too. Antonino got a little banged up, so did Theo. I believe a hand or arm kind of got banged up again. Anytime you go hard, it was a pretty hard hit because they were going for it.
You're going for it.
Contact. Antonino got a little bit airborne going over Salameo, and again they just they both hit the wall pretty hard. So I think Antonino's rear end of the kart was pretty banged up. Not sure what Salameo's kart looked like, but there was no moving for those guys.
Big win for Max Cristia, as we said. That wraps up this segment. When we get back, we'll cap off the race report brought to you by DID Chain, KA100 Masters in both cadet categories after this break. What brand is known around the world for its innovation and success? It is Sodi Kart. The Sodi brand returned in full force during the 2023 season thanks to the new exclusive importer, the Karting Distribution, led by industry veteran Terry Germanovich. The French manufacturer Sodi Kart is a leader within the karting industry, offering a wide range of products and services. The Sodi Racing chassis line offers product in classes from mini karts to KZ, all based on years of development and championship seasons around the world. Sodi Racing USA has expanded its dealer network over the last year, bringing the Sodi brand to several local clubs and regional programs. The Sodi Racing USA by PK Sports is the official race team, producing many victories in different levels across the board. And the new Pro Race Academy is designed to cater to the next generation of motor racing, helping boys and girls aiming to make their mark. Visit Sodi-Racing-USA.com to learn more about Sodi Kart chassis or call 954-634-5111 to become part of the Sodi Racing USA network today. Sodi Kart, the world leader in the karting industry. Established in 1999, PSL Karting has become a powerhouse within the karting industry for North America and around the world. PSL Karting is your complete source for all Burrell Art products as the North American importer, providing this top quality product through both their expansive dealer network or through the PSLKarting.com online store. Whatever you need is available 24/7 online, including safety gear, parts, components, and full karting packages. All three brands, Burrell Art, Ricardo Kart, and Charles Leclerc karts, are in stock and ready to hit the track. Grab your winning chassis for any category by visiting PSLKarting.com to find your nearest dealer. PSL Karting is always looking for interest in new dealers and teams to help create new business relationships. Drivers looking to take their talents to the next level can join the Burrell Art North America race team, competing at all the major U.S. and Canadian events this season. When you're ready to win, go with PSL Karting. All right, let's wrap up this edition of the Race Report presented by DID Chains. We continue with EKN Debrief number 149, unpacking everything that happened at Trackhouse for the USPKS Carolina Grand Prix. David Cole giving us all the insight from his time at the track throughout the weekend. KA 100 Masters presented by Nash Motorsports. Here's the headline: Stone escapes battle for victory.
Yeah, this was not a boring class to watch. Most people don't line the fences for the KA Masters, but there was a lot of action all weekend long, especially with the weather conditions, but most especially with the field we did have. We had a lot of heavy hitters that were racing up front, including local driver and former IKF Region 7 champion Dusty Davis. The 33-year-old put down a 50.693 lap to lead the way in qualifying. I made sure to say his age to make you feel a little bit old, Rob.
Yeah, that one hit. That one hit. Dusty Davis, my goodness. I love it.
So Davis was able to lead the way in the opening heat race ahead of Daytona winner Renato Jader-David and Martin Stone. But the second heat race, again, under a drying racetrack, but everybody was on wet tires, so nobody went out on dries. If I was the last guy out there, I maybe would have went on dry tires just to play around, but everybody stayed with the same tires. So this race, however, Renato Jader-David suffered two flat rear tires towards the end of the race, so he fell all the way back to ninth. So he was able to hold on and salvage a ninth place spot while allowing Dusty Davis to go on to take the race win. In the third heat race, which was under wet conditions, no question about that, Ariel Castro, the Florida driver, put on a clinic and was able to drive away to the heat race win there. But RJD did pick up two runner-up finishes, so that did help him in terms of heat race points, putting him second on the grid, while Dusty Davis, who finished fourth in the third heat race, was able to earn the pole or retain the pole position for the main event. Castro in third, Martin Stone starting fourth, and Miguel Mir starting in the fifth position. A wild one in this attrition was essentially the culprit for two drivers. Dusty Davis went out early. Engine wire connection cost him power onto his engine. He eventually pulled off, not quite sure knowing what it was. They found out the wires were not crimped enough to maintain the power to the engine. So a tough one for him after a dollar part took the win away. Renato Jader-David tried to hang on. There was actually contact between Martin Stone and Paul Montopoli, who I don't know where the speed came from, but he was on it all weekend long. He had two good finishes in the heat race, a bad one in the third heat race. He started seventh and was up there with the lead group for the entire race. He actually made a three-wide move on RJD and Martin Stone in the double rights. It was a great move. Unfortunately, contact between all three. Stone went off. RJD went off. He lost a bunch of positions. But eventually, RJD, Renato Jader-David, pulled off the racetrack as the broken reed slowed his engine down immensely. So he pulled off with a Daytona winner recording a DNF. All this fighting allowed Ariel Castro to kind of get up front and get away. But eventually, Paul Montopoli and Martin Stone were able to run him down. So it was a three-driver fight for the victory. Castro was leading at the white flag, but going down into turn number 4, he let Stone by. I want to say he waved him by. I didn't quite see it, but that's what they were screaming on the Kart Chaser broadcast. And Castro played good teammate, running under the Ralston Performance Group tent, allowing Martin Stone to roll by, and Stone was able to go and cross the line first ahead of Castro for essentially a 1-2 finish in the main event for RPG. Talking with Castro afterwards, he said this was the only race he was going to do. He knew he was quick enough to win and knew Stone needed the points, so he allowed him to go by.
There you go. Wow, interesting. Let's talk about the rest of the field. Paul Montopoli, you talked about him being on the pace all weekend long, P3 on the track, but P6 after a penalty for contact?
Yeah, the penalty for contact there with Stone and RJD. So 3-position penalty, dropping him off the podium and putting him into the 6th spot. That moved Brant Estes into the 3rd position, Miguel Mir 4th, and then Todd Shambo for Brandon George Correct Racing into the top 5.
There you have it. There's your KA100 Master overview. Let's go to Mini Swift presented by Sodi Racing USA, and the headline: Ives earned 2nd straight at Trackhouse.
Again, another category we expect the locals to be really good, and we did see that, except for Enzo Di Gennaro. Not exactly a local, but I think he's got a lot of experience there at the Trackhouse Motorplex. He came away with the fast time in qualifying with a 52.658, but trouble for him in what was a wild opening heat race. It looked like these guys were racing for the main event victory. Not exactly sure why that was. But lots of craziness going on in the final couple of laps for this one, where we saw Parker Ives come away with the win ahead of Maxwell Macha and Zane Burgess. But Di Gennaro got caught up in contact. So that put him 23rd in the results for that race. And he went on to finish 7th and 4th in the 2 wet weather heat races. So not exactly the great start for Di Gennaro to the racing action, as he would start the main event in 9th, while Santiago Orlioli, this kid's a fish because he handled the wet weather like an all-star.
That's awesome.
He went on to win both heat races in the wet comfortably. Big wins, big margin of wins in both races. So those 2 heat race wins put him on the pole position for the main event, alongside the fellow mini rookie Zane Burgess, Maxwell Macha, and Parker Ives in row 2, and then Daytona winner Jaden Francisco and Cameron Johnson filling up row 3. As the main event began, some shuffling in the opening couple of laps, but eventually it was Parker Ives and Jaden Francisco that locked up, and the 2 Nitro drivers were able to push away from the rest of the field. Di Gennaro worked himself up into the 3rd spot with Cade Wolf on his bumper, the local driver on the comp cart, and they caught up. They got to Ives, they got to Francisco, but unfortunately a mistake cost both of them some real estate, allowing Ives and Francisco to once again pull away. Francisco did lead for about 3 laps, but Ives led the final 6 and was able to hold off Francisco at the line to score a 2nd straight victory at the Trackhouse Motorplex, making it another Nitro Kart win in the mini category.
Yeah, Ives and Francisco 1-2. Di Gennaro comes back to 3rd. Cade Wolf 4th, and Jake Manalio rounding out the top 5 on the Nitro. David, let's wrap it up for the race report. Micro Swift presented by Team Ferris Racing, and the headline: Harrell helps Nitro Kart sweep cadet divisions.
Yes, but it wasn't a Nitro Kart that was quickest in qualifying. That would be the Orsolon Tony Kart by Alvaro Medeiros with a 53.735. Unfortunately for him, not exactly the heat races he wanted to have. He actually ended up falling back to 5th, 3rd, and 5th. So he did start the main event from the 4th position, but in the heat races, we had 3 different winners. We had Slate Harrell, Marcelo Flores, and Lennox Lockhart picking up the race wins. But when the points were tallied up, it was Brody Stoffel, Slate Harrell, Lennox Lockhart, Medeiros, and Dutch Westbrook making up the top 5. With the Stoffel and Harrell up front, they were able to take advantage of that and get away from the rest of the field. A great little last lap battle between the 2. Great, no contact. Back and forth, inside, outside, great maneuvers by both, but it was Harrell that was able to prowl around on the outside coming out of the double rights, get to the final corner first, and was able to hold off Stoffel for the victory by just over 0.2 of a second.
Nice job for Slade Harrell in that Nitro Kart getting the victory. Stoffel, Medeiros, Westbrook, and Lockhart, the top five, as David had said. All right, folks, final break. When we get back, we'll wrap things up. We'll have a look at the Constructors' Championship, and then we'll cap it all off, as we always do, with the EKN Trackside Live Race Calendar. Ready to step up your game? Joining the Rawlison Performance Group is the obvious choice to take your racing to the next level. Industry-leading driver development is provided by our staff of multi-time national champions, Super Nationals winners, and Team USA members. And at the same time, RPG continues to be a national-level powerhouse race team. Our goal is to help you raise your game and win races. We work with all age groups and are focused on developing those cadet and junior drivers who are ready to take the next step in their racing program. Rawlison Performance Group has set a new standard with our in-house engine program, AVP Engines, headed by Alex Vincent. AVP has become the benchmark in IAME competition. We have the largest OTK inventory that follows our race team, providing trackside parts at all the major events in North America. RPG also offers multilingual support with French, Spanish, and Portuguese-speaking staff. If you want to fight for championships or want to improve your skills and your chances to win, the answer is to call RPG at 503-260-4514. The Rawlison Performance Group. We race to win. Winning takes top quality equipment, flawless preparation, experienced coaching, and passion. And at Team GFC, we live our passion. Developed by American karting champion Gary Carlton, the GFC chassis has become one of the newest brands to reach the top of the podium in North America. GFC has garnered victories and championships at all levels of the sport since its debut at the end of 2018. Shifter car drivers are at the front of the field in the GT14 frame, with the SS31 a consistent contender in tag and 100cc competition. Team GFC has arrive and drive packages available for all categories, including the mini and micro classes utilizing the GFC RR5 cadet chassis. These young pilots have the opportunity to be part of the Team GFC Young Driver Development Program. Learn from one of the best American karters with 28 years racing at the highest levels in the sport, offering personalized training on and off the track. Follow GFC Karting on Facebook and Instagram, or click over to gfckarting.com to learn more about joining Team GFC. GFC, live your passion. Welcome back. Time to cap things off for this edition of the EKN Debrief. David Cole giving us a full rundown of all the categories that we watched there at the USBKS Carolina Grand Prix from Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. We'll cap things off here now with the race wrap-up, rather, and then we'll do the Constructors' Championship. David, wrap things up for us here based on what you saw trackside.
One red flag. That was the incident we saw in K100 Junior, first attempt at the main event. Luckily, no driver was hurt in that, as all 51 drivers made the start in the restart at the end of the day on Sunday. We did see a couple of flips on the weekend. One of them, Emery Lida of Kart Chaser.
Oh, no.
Yeah, not good for him in the main event. So he was one of them. A couple, I think I saw a micro and then maybe another mini as well too. But all drivers able to walk away. So no major really incidents aside from that wild chaos we saw in K100 Junior.
Thoughts on the video marshaling system?
Yeah, again, I think, Blake, I think that's where he belongs, behind the screen. No, he did a great job. Again, I think they're still trying to figure out, the system. It was one weekend. It was the first time using it. It seemed like it's going to work out for them. It's just a matter of getting the logistics of and kind of the flow of race directing and race calling type things happening, especially in that red flag. There's a little bit of chaos as to what's happening, what's going on. So, talking with them, hopefully, and Blake, they're hopefully going to get a little bit better of a flow chart in terms of that going on, because obviously Blake's not on the racetrack. So it changes the dynamic of how races get officiated, how logistics of the race day goes. So definitely they'll have to work on that. So I think that's the only negative side of that, was just kind of the movement of Blake inside, not on the racetrack. Okay, now who's in charge while outside? So that's something they'll have to work on.
Halfway point of the championship. Looks like some drivers starting to come to the forefront, as always.
Yeah, halfway. Again, best 3 out of 4. So some of the drivers that weren't at Daytona, who had a good weekend in Trackhouse, they have the ability to keep going forward towards the championship if possible. But I think majority of those that we did see up front are already into their second round. So we do have some drivers. I asked Ryan Norberg about that. He's like, yeah, if I pick up a win at Road America, that's essentially the title. So that's the only downside to doing the best 3 out of 4 in terms of that. So that's something we'll have to kind of keep an eye on. And of course, something we'll talk about in our outlap prior to Road America. That's
it. Constructors Championship now, folks, as you know, just a single main events on the USPKS races. So 7 categories, 7 wins. David, 5 brands bagging victories at Trackhouse.
Yeah, Cosmic picking up 2 under the RPG tent with Ryan Norberg and Martin Stone. Nitro Kart sweeping the cadet divisions with Slate Harrell and Parker Ives. LN Racing Kart winning with Paulie Massimino. Magic Kart with Max Weiland, and Kart Republic of Max Christia.
All right, let's move now into the EKN Trackside Live race calendar to wrap things up here. This edition of the calendar presented by Margay Racing. Check out Margay Racing's Spec Ignite class and their Arrive and Drive packages. Nothing matches the affordability and competitive level of the Ignite program. It's where the best driver wins over the best equipment. Bring your safety gear and Margay will take care of the rest. This year's Ignite majors include the Quincy Grand Prix, USAC Karting Elkhart Riverwalk Grand Prix, and the Rock Island Grand Prix on Labor Day weekend. The Midwest-based Ignite Challenge Series will hit 5 different tracks in 2025, and be sure to find a club running the Ignite class in your part of the country this season. For more information, please visit ignitekarting.com today. Get off the couch and into a race seat. All right, David, let's look at the calendar here. I've got 3 dates we'll talk about. The end of May, and we'll look at the events that you'll be traveling to. Actually, we'll both be traveling to at least one of them throughout the month of June as well. Let's start off the fact that you've got a couple of weekends off, well-deserved after a big run of races here. The next event for you, May 23rd, 24th, 25th, Memorial Day weekend, the SuperKarts USA Pro Tour Spring Nationals at Motorsports Country Club of Cincinnati in Batavia, Ohio.
Yeah, talk to the Bailiff family this weekend. They're really geared up to welcome back SuperKarts USA to their facility. Certainly, we saw a big weekend at the Speed Sports Racing Park in New Caney, Texas for the Winter Nationals. So a lot of stuff to look at and dive into for that outlap as we get it to the halfway point of this year's SuperKarts USA Pro Tour.
Yeah, I'm kind of bummed, right? I've never been to the MCC yet.
Telling you, just roll through.
The initial date was fine, and then and then they moved it to Memorial Day. I'm busy, of course, Thursday, Friday, and the last couple of years I've been busy on the Saturday if we get a rain out for the USF Pro Championships race at IRP. So no, won't be able to get to that one, and actually won't be able to get to the Summer Nats either. So let's just throw that out there. So. Disappointing with some again conflicts this year. It happens.
We don't want you there.
Programs. What's that?
We don't want you there. I'm just kidding. No, yeah, it's it should be exciting. Again, massive paddock, plenty of room for all the competitors.
Yeah,
a very old school style racetrack with a lot of 180s, tight, narrow. We'll see what the grip level is like. That was obviously the story in 2024. So we'll see. I don't know if they put down any more sealer or if it's, what they had from last year. So that will definitely be the story. And weather will obviously be a story too, because we've seen it rain there before. How hot is it going to be? We've seen May, Memorial weekends be super hot or super cold.
That's so true. Yeah, 100% true. A couple weeks after that, you and I will be together again for the final round of the Challenge of the Americas out at Burt Brothers Moto Park, the newly renamed track. Normally, it's been Miller Motorsports Park, then Utah Motorsports Campus. Now the Burt Brothers Moto Park out in Grantsville, Utah. A lot of big races have been held at that karting facility in Utah. Again, that's the June 13th, 14th weekend. David, you and I will be out there. We'll cap off this year's Challenge of the Americas. Crown some champions.
Crown some champions in Utah. Definitely that. Get to, go to a place we've been to multiple times. A lot of big races been held there. Andy Saisman loves that racetrack. He didn't do quite well as a driver, but loves going there. It's he does well off the racetrack. A unique season for Challenge in the Americas. Again, expanding to 4 races, now racing into the month of June. Going to be there for Father's Day weekend. So again, missing Mid-Ohio again.
Sorry, David. It happens. All right. Well, and again, David, you'll be back on track a couple of weeks after that. USPKS, which we just, of course, discussed the Carolina Grand Prix. This will be the Wisconsin Grand Prix at Briggs & Stratton Motorplex at Road America, Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Just a fantastic, listen, if you guys have not, first and foremost, the racetrack's fantastic, Briggs & Stratton Motorplex. Just being at Road America is another absolutely fantastic deal. Then there's Elkhart, Seekins, you name it, Brown Bear. Fantastic place to go. It's a motorsports destination, and the fact that USPKS is there at the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex makes it such a big part of that program. I think it's just such a fantastic facility.
Yeah, the first went there with due to COVID with the I believe it was Labor Day weekend in 2020. So that was the first ever USPKS visit there to Road America. Went there a couple more years before it fell off the schedule. If everybody who's been there said, man, this place is amazing. And that's the deal. Like, you have to go there to experience it. A lot of history there, a lot of different places to visit. And again, being in June, no school, get the RV, drive to the racetrack, hang out there all week long, have a good time, and then stay an extra week, get ready for the 4th of July the next week. No problem. Other than Michigan, I'd probably stay in Wisconsin.
There you have it. That wraps things up, folks, for this edition of the EKN Debrief. As I said, episode number 149. Man, we'll hit the 150 mark when we get to the next event. Looking forward to that one. Again, David Cole giving us a full rundown of this past weekend's USPKS Carolina Grand Prix from Trackhouse Motorplex in Mooresville, North Carolina. Halfway point of the USPKS, as we just detailed, the next event up into Wisconsin at the Briggs & Stratton Motorplex in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin at Road America. Fantastic facility. America's National Park of Speed. Thank you so much for tuning into this edition of the Debrief, folks. On behalf of David Cole, my name is Rob Howden. Bye for now.